again, I'll say glad to see Brad back. It's never an easy time what he went through when you lose someone, especially your mother. It's not easy, Brad. And again, you were in our thoughts all the way in that road trip. I didn't realize that every time you hadn't been with us, we've always won. So, hey, I don't know if that's a good stat or a bad stat. But again, glad to see you back. And like I said, I know it's not easy. But, we got 2 games coming up here starting Thursday night. That's the first one that matters is Charlotte. We got Old Dominion Saturday night, too. Before we start talking about the teams, the breakdown of Charlotte and break down Old Dominion. Here's my challenge to everybody. I know the Old Dominion game's sold out. I think there's only like 250 tickets left for Charlotte, which we think could be sold out. But the key to sellout are the students. That's the whole key. And we need you in there, students. We have 2 home games left. A team that's fighting for our lives. A team that I think's a pretty exciting team to watch play. We need you in there Thursday night, hanging out of the rafters. 7 o'clock game. And again, you're the ones that make the difference. You're the ones that create the atmosphere inside of Diddle Arena. It all starts with the students, and I've said this many a time. No one has a job if it's not for the students. That's why there's a Western Kentucky, because of the students. Come out, create this environment, enjoy this environment, and again, help us, because it means so much to our basketball team when this thing is packed. And again, our fans can make the difference in winning and losing Thursday night or Saturday night. So, questions about Charlotte first.
I got one, Rick.
Yes, sir.
I vividly remember the game at Charlotte. I think it was a 6 or 7 point game with 4 minutes left, and I specifically remember their guard. He's as solid as any player in the league, isn't he?
Yeah, they had, preseason, he was probably the one guy. When the NBA guys would call me, he was the one guy that people really thought had a chance, more so than anybody else. 2 guys was Lee and him. Those are 2 guys that everybody talked about. Davis, he's had a great year. He's averaging 18 points in conference play. His running mate, White, is averaging 17 points. Those are 2 guys that hurt us the first time. Those are 2 guys who are capable of taking over a game and finding a way to win. I know when you look at the record, it's not very good. They've lost a lot of games. But here's the only stat you need to know. Minute to go at their place, they're tied with Middle Tennessee. That's the only stat you need to know. They're good enough to do that. And like you just said, it's a 6 or 7 point game, late in the game up there, and we end up winning by 10 or so. So there's no easy games. On paper, yes, we're better than Charlotte on paper. Unfortunately, you don't play on paper. Got to play the game. And we don't try to, blow smoke up our guys. We're realistic and we're honest. This game, it's about us. We'll respect Charlotte. We respect their players. We know those 2 guards are good as anybody. But we do know this too. If we're right, we're playing to our abilities, then we'll be fine. But that margin for winning and losing is small, very small.
How good is everyone feeling coming off the 2-0 road trip and a big win Saturday?
Brad, here's what I feel with our team. I think, this time of the year as a coach, one of the most valuable things you can have is confidence. Not as a coach. Coach likes confidence too, but what's more important is your players having confidence. And when I say confidence, believing in each other, feeling good about each other, feeling good about their team. I like where we're at with this. I like our feeling among each other. And all that translates back to energy, togetherness, and, kind of how we played. We came off of 2 games. We were pretty productive offensively. You shoot 64% on the road in North Texas. That's a pretty high percentage. You turn around the next night and, we're going to go against the zone for the first time all season long for 40 minutes, and we were pretty productive. Again, 55%, made some threes, and again, among each other, our guys feel good coming down the stretch. And like I say, confidence is a very valuable thing to have individually and as a team. I think we got some.
You have to rein Justin in all week. I'm sure he's going to be a pretty emotional week.
Well, I don't like to talk about it. As I said before, told y'all last press conference maybe, or somewhere along the way, maybe it's a radio show. I don't like senior nights because of a lot of reasons. Most time you're losing some good players. And I've had Justin for 2 years and have grown to really understand who he is, and not just as a player but as a person and his family, and and I've watched his development, and I've watched him come back with a peg leg and 30 pounds overweight from football, and you see him to continue to fight through it and get better, and get up and do yoga in the mornings. Everybody can't do that. I've gained a lot of respect for him as a person, and I've learned his personalities. I wish I'd had him for 4 years. He's got a lot of different abilities still that I think he hadn't shown. Dwight and Darius are guys I've just had for 1 year, as we've all known, and I don't know if you could have guys for 1 year, and we're talking probably 9 months, come in June, didn't they? Darius came in July, Dwight was June, whatever that months are, 9 months, 10 months. I don't know if you could have guys for 9 months and feel any closer to them or any better about them as people, and I do both of those guys, both of them. I have not one negative thing to say as people first. Both of them, great students. They're going to walk away here in 1 year with their masters, both of them, all three of them. They'll both have 2 classes this summer. But they've been great teammates. And to watch them develop as players. I watched a Big Dwight come in here who averaged 1.7 points a game. And I told you guys, I don't know how good he's going to be, but he's going to average more than 1.7. And watch him the first time we go to Sanford. You guys couldn't be there. It was close scrimmage. You were there? And watch us throwing the ball. What did he do every time? He walked. Every time. Then your first real game here against Missouri State, because he's never played kind of minutes, gets in foul trouble. He plays a total of 12, 13 minutes. To watch him grow, how to learn to play, not foul, because you're going to play minutes now, and watch his confidence grow offensively. It's been impressive. And Darius is, like I say, there's some pretty impressive stats that come along with him. I think he's playing his best basketball now. I think, he's been our point. We've had 2 or 3 points on that court, but he's been the guy that's initiated offense a bunch. But I really think taking some handcuffs off of him, freeing him up a little bit, his offensive game has gotten much better. But again, it all starts with their character. And I'll just say this, those 3 seniors, and I can honestly say this, you can't have higher character guys, any of those 3. Right up the top of the chart. Whatever that chart is, they're at the top of it, all 3 of them. That I will miss, besides being good basketball players.
These next 4 games, this 4-game stretch to end the year, really meaningful, and I'm sure that's what you envisioned for this program, playing meaningful games late in the season.
Well, they're meaningful only because of what these guys have accomplished so far. That's what makes them important. They also keep getting magnified. These games wouldn't be important now if we hadn't taken care of business at this point. And that's what you want this time of year. You want every game to be meaningful. You want an opportunity to be playing for something. And as a coach, and as a player, that's all you can ask for, is an opportunity to play for a championship. I think it's very obvious we're going down this stretch with an opportunity to play for a championship.
Jake, he hit a couple threes over the road trip. How important is he off the bench to kind of get out of his slump that he's been in for a little bit?
Well, it's real important. It's a good time to do it, too. I think it's probably since Eastern Kentucky he's made 3 threes in 1 game. And we felt it when we rode in there Friday night, shoot around. It was a small gym, and he thought he was back in high school, and he started shooting Friday night, and he did it Saturday morning, didn't stop. But, you know, it don't take much sometimes to get that back, that confidence back. And again, Jake's very valuable to us. That role he plays is an important role. And I kept saying, there's going to be somewhere along the way, Jake's going to break out. He's going to come off that bench to help us win a game. And so we needed every game. And I think he feels good where he's at. We feel good about him. We never didn't feel good about him. We didn't like he wasn't making shots, but never quit believing in him. And his teammates have confidence in him. So it was good to see him do that, and I think that carries over all within that team.
Coach, this is the second straight year that you brought in some grad transfers just for 1 year. And what are some things that separate, you know, Darius and Dwight from the grad transfers that you brought in last year?
Well, you know, those grads I had last year, Pancake and Q and Junior. I can say this about all three of them again. They were high character guys. I think the little bit of difference in this bunch is this. I think these guys here came from winning programs. I think they understand, you know, Darius has been a part of Tennessee for a year and Virginia for 2 years. You know, Dwight came from Kansas where there was another level of expectations, even though neither one of them had the productivity at those other schools those last three guys did. So think about that. Those three guys last year came in with much higher stats, but came from different programs. These guys come in with less stats, but came from better programs. And look at their stats now, how both of the stats on these two guys really increased on a more talented team, a more balanced team. You know, last year, there wasn't a lot of bounce. If these grad transfers had been on last year's team, they'd be a lot more productive than they are now because they'd gotten more shots even. So, but we've been blessed to have good people as grad transfers. You know, like I said, those three guys last year, all of them were good people, man. And like I say, we've been really lucky. These kind of guys here, man, they don't come no better than Dwight and Darius.
Is Charlotte better than when you played them the first time? If so, how? And the same question would apply to Old Dominion.
I really don't have the answer to either one of those questions. I'm going to give you two parts back.
Okay.
Because number one, you asked me after Saturday night, I can probably tell you how Old Dominion is. Charlotte, to my knowledge, have not won since we left out of there. Have not won a game. So to say they're better or not, I don't think so. They lost one kid. They had a shooter that was averaging about 7-8 points a game. I think broke his foot or something that they don't have now they had previously. And I think they've lost a bunch of games in a row. They're 1-13, whatever it is. Old Dominion, you know, on paper, they're playing as well, better than anybody in the league. They went on the road and won at Louisiana Tech, had them down 25 the first half. They just beat San Antonio and El Paso by 48 points. San Antonio by 30 some odd. So on paper, they're playing really well. I think the Haynes kids, you know, you got Caver, you got Haynes, you got Stiff, and that perimeter is playing extremely well, and big boys on the inside. Again, they're 21-5, aren't they? I guess the only time they've been beat since we left out there. We beat them, Middle Tennessee beat them. And since then, no one's beat them. I get both parts. Got 3 parts, didn't I?
Middle Tennessee's 24 this week. How good is that for the conference to have a top 25 team?
Well, it's good. It's good to rank and probably well deserving of it. And I think it's good for our league. And you know, they've been the one team from the start that, as I said, they have that rhythm, they have that chemistry, and they've got that togetherness in that program. And until somebody can beat them, they're the team to beat in this league.
Everybody good?
Is that good?